It's an organization whose mission is to promote the health and well-being of gay, lesbian, and bisexual persons. Its members endeavor to educate an enlightened and ill-informed public, to end discrimination, secure equal civil rights, and create a society that is healthy and respectful of human diversity. That organization is the Federation of Parents and Friends of Lesbians and Gays, or PFLAG. I'm Eileen Karn, and on this edition of Forward and Out, we have with us three representatives of PFLAG: Rose Donalfo, Director of PFLAG's Westchester, New York chapter, and Hal Hochberg and Bernice Ellman, members of the same chapter. Thank you for joining us on Forward and Out.
Thank you.
Rose, will you give us a little history of PFLAG? It's a national organization now.
Yes, I'd be happy to. It was started in 1973 by a woman whose name was Jean Manford, and she lived in Queens. She was a school teacher, and she saw a real need out there. She did have a gay son, Morty, so she saw a real need out there for organizing a group to help parents of gay children learn about homosexuality and hopefully to accept it and understand it.
Right. When did the chapter start in Westchester?
Oh, in 1980 by a couple named Dick and Amy Ashworth, who are two of my dearest friends now. I'm very close to them. They moved to Manhattan 3 or 4 years ago, but they started the group in Westchester and White Plains, and I started in 6 months after they founded
a wonderful
it.
contribution you're making.
Oh, thank
How
you.
many chapters are there nationwide?
Well, the last count, I understand about 340. It's growing every day. And in this area alone, we now have a new chapter just recently started in September in Rockland County. We have one in Poughkeepsie, and hopefully they'll just grow up more in Westchester. We need more.
And PFLAG is a international organization also, is that right?
In at least 10 to 12 other countries.
Yeah, wonderful. What are the, we read the mission statement in the introduction. What are the other general goals and activities of your group?
Well, we do have a meeting once a month. We meet at the Loft at 255 Grove Street in White Plains on the second Monday of every month. And the meeting is mostly, the bottom line is it's a support group for parents. We do have many other people attend. We have gay people come, siblings of gay people, friends. All are welcome. Whoever would like to attend is welcome to come. And that's primarily our basic function.
To offer support group.
Yes.
Sort of activities and
Yes.
sharing.
Right.
Hal, what's your involvement in PFLAG? How long have you been involved?
I've been involved now for 7 years. At the moment, I'm the vice president, which doesn't afford me too much opportunity because Rose is so active. But but we're there regularly, and again, our purpose is to help other people and sort of repay the help that we got when we needed it.
Right. And Bernice, how about yourself?
Well, I've been in about 9 years, and I was interested in joining PFLAG when my daughter came out to me and told me she was a lesbian, which I have to say did not throw me completely because there were indications in her life that things were changing. If somebody had asked me point blank at that point, of course I would never have admitted it. But once she told me about it, all these things came forward, and it sort of strengthened this opinion. I really didn't have too many problems with it, but I did feel the need of a group. And it was my daughter, actually, who found out about PFLAG for me and steered me to it. And I find that it's done me a world of good. I really have no problems talking about it now, where it was really quite difficult, particularly when 2 years after she came out, my daughter had a baby, which really was a, how did she have a baby? She has no husband, one could,
Right.
those kind of questions. And they were quite a problem at the time, which don't exist now. And I think what happens is, as you help others, it helps you. And this is the big thing. No matter how many years you stay, there are always more things that we can learn and can
Hal, what sort of process of acceptance did you go through?
Well, it wasn't. It sort of came as a shock when our son first told us. Not that it should have been a complete surprise, but the day that he first told us this, he said, "I'm the same person that I was before I told you." And I said, "That's right." And basically, we love our son. That's it.
Right. Yeah. And
No
Rose,
problem.
did you have sort of an acceptance story too with your child?
Well, mine goes back 25 years ago with my brother. I have a gay brother, and at the time, I was married. I was in my mid-30s. I had 4 children, and my brother was in college, and he was going through a very severe depression. I really didn't understand it or know what was going on, and he didn't feel comfortable about coming out and telling his family that he was gay for many reasons. And he went through a very serious trauma, and when I did find out what the basic problem was, I was so shocked that I never had any inclination to suspecting this or even being aware of it, and I knew nothing about or very little about homosexuality. And so I started reading then and learning about it and understanding it and accepting it, which I really didn't have any problem accepting it right from the very beginning. Then 15 years later, my son came along, and when he was 15, we discussed it. It was a mutual discussion that he was gay also. And thank God, by that time, I was fully accepted, and so was the rest of my family. So my son did not have as difficult a time as most young people do.
Right. Did PFLAG have a role in furthering your acceptance? I guess you were a little different roles. How about you and Bernice and Hal?
It certainly did have as I said, it made it much easier for me to begin telling people.
To share with
Right,
your contemporaries.
Yeah, I guess one of the greatest fears most parents have at the time that their child comes out is, well, we know, but what are we going to do with our relatives and friends, etc.? And really, by attending the meetings and getting together with the other parents who were in the same boat as you are, you sort of learn how to, well, what you do.
Right.
Some of the people that attend are also gay men or lesbian women, and through their own feelings, we come to know our own children better.
So the fact that the members are the meetings are attended by other people, as
sure.
well as by parents, it creates sort of a free
yes.
flow of exchange there. Why do you think it is hard for parents to accept that? I mean, what sort of process do they go through? This is really bumping up against cultural standards, isn't it? I guess as a gay person, you just hope that your parents would automatically be accepting, but again and again we hear stories where that isn't the case.
I think that a lot of it is that we don't know enough about homosexuality, and this is what we have to learn, and this is what PFLAG helps parents do by having every other meeting we have an outside speaker for different and these are of terrific value in helping us understand these things, and I think once you understand, then it becomes easier.
Right. What sort of stages would a parent go through? Is there
Well,
different-
they vary a lot, but
That's
there are
right.
people
Yes.
who come who can't talk. They're just overcome with tears. And only the other night at our last meeting, I was talking to one of these women who had a terrible, terrible time, and she's not coming all that long. And we made a joke, and we started to laugh, and she said to me, I never thought I'd laugh again.
So it was
It really is
really a heartwarming moment. So the PFLAG organization helps parents cope at different stages.
Right,
yeah.
right. Everybody comes in a different
Right.
position.
And then once things are open and accepting, then you're all together and sharing and
Build a
enjoying
very
various
strong bond.
activities.
Yeah.
You were involved in the march in Washington too, weren't you?
Yes,
And-
Bernice and I went. Yes,
What
thrilling
kind of experience was that? Yes.
Oh, it was so exciting, wasn't it, Bernice?
Yeah.
Did you meet with other PFLAG chapters
Yes,
and
we
march
worked
in
with
one
them.
group?
Yes, from all over the country. Oh, there were hundreds there. It was just overwhelming. It was because I've been marching since I guess 1982 was my first march in New York, in the Gay Pride March in New York, and Washington I marched in 5 years ago too. But this one last year was just incredible.
Really fabulous.
Oh, really? Such support, such overwhelming support, and the gay people when they see the parents march through, it's just
They
so
just
moving.
cheer.
Because they're all wishing that their mom and dad was there.
Was
You
there,
know,
yeah,
it's just
right.
wonderful.
Yeah, I've seen that in the New York Gay
Yeah.
Pride
Oh.
March. Yeah, very different, very much so. I understand, Rose, that you handle a lot of phone calls. Is
I
that
do.
a big part of
Yes.
PFLAG's outreach and
Yes.
service to the community?
It is a very big
Can
part.
you talk about that a little bit and what's
Well,
involved there?
hopefully, I try to be as helpful as possible because when you're talking on the phone, you know, it's much easier for me to talk face to face with someone, but on the telephone, I meet very many different people, all coming from different places, some of them terribly, terribly upset, and others just asking questions about the meeting. A lot of them do come to the meetings, a lot of them don't, and for those that don't, I feel very, very badly about because I think they need the support of other parents to talk it over because we've all been there, you know, and they'd get. But I do spend a lot of time on the telephone.
Right. And Bernice, what is your involvement in PFLAG? Do you have a special role? Or?
No, but I just talk to people individually, and sometimes when they haven't shown up for a while, I make a point of calling them to see how they're doing. We
check
don't
on
like to
them.
pressure people by calling them because, you know, if they feel they
Everybody
can't
is
come,
at their own
right,
different stage.
But that's the sort of thing I do.
Right, yeah. What sort of message would you have to other parents who are maybe viewing the show and at different stages? Could you each give a little message to parents out there? Maybe start with you, Hal.
Okay. Well, I would say it's your child. The one basic thing that you should have is love for your child, and you know, this is their lifestyle. Just learn to live with it.
Right. Acceptance.
I would say that the road to acceptance lies through PFLAG or meeting with other parents who've gone through it or going through it, and this is the most help.
To find the support out there,
Yeah, right.
because you're not alone in having to deal with this.
Yeah.
It's really a triangulated situation because you're dealing with the child and you're dealing with, you know, the other family members and cultural norms. How about you, Rose?
Well, I would think most parents, or a lot of parents I talk to, feel very, very guilty about it. And of course, I don't think there should be any guilt involved, but people do feel that way. They're very hard on themselves, and they shouldn't be. I mean, this is the way their child is. For whatever the reason, the child is gay, and they're not any different than they were 2 minutes before they found out about it. They're the very, very same person. And to just... It takes time. It's not easy in the beginning for a lot of people, and it takes some people a year, some people 3 or 4 years. But they have to be patient and keep their ears open, the lines of communication flowing all the time. That's very important. Don't ever lose contact with that gay child for any reason. And most times they come about. For those that don't, I feel very badly because it's everyone's loss then.
Right, yeah. Do you think the gay person themselves sometimes has unrealistic expectations about parental acceptance? I guess I'm referring to the fact that acceptance is a process, and that if you share that with your parent, you know, if they might have some difficulty, it's not a reason to back off further or to then reject your parents.
Well, I can answer that by saying what happened to my own daughter, who felt, because of experience of some of her friends when they came out, and got terrible responses, like, I'd rather you were on drugs, you know,
Oh,
that
really?
kind of thing.
So her
Made
friends...
despite the fact that we were very open people all the time, you know, it really threw me that she couldn't come and tell us. And she wrote a letter, which was beautiful and it was very nice, but she wrote a letter and ran. You know?
Right.
And I talked to her afterwards about that, because that really was something that I wondered about. And she said this is what made her do it, because the reactions were so terrible that she was hearing. This was a number of years ago. She came out in '77. So
Right.
things were, I think they've really improved a lot since. So these are one of the things that make it so difficult for our children to come out to us.
Right. How was it with your son, Hal?
Again, we had no great problem with our son. But I do know from attending the FLAG meetings that there are people who sometimes feel that they are put upon by the, shall we say, the time element is the way their children want them to accept this, and they feel like they're being, in effect, dumped upon instead of just something. I said, people need time. Some can do it in 2 months. Some may take 2 years. You know, it varies.
Right, yeah. It's, I guess I'm thinking of the gay person who wants to have a quick,
Right.
quick acceptance, because not being accepted by your parents is really such a barrier to intimacy. You know,
But if I may say one thing,
yes.
I think sometimes gay people forget maybe how long it took them to finally come to the realization and accept themselves as being gay, that sometimes some gay people should be more patient with their parents, not all the time, but sometimes, and let them have time that they did to come to that full realization. It just takes a long, long time.
Right, it's true. What about some more of the nuts and bolts of PFLAG? Do you have a newsletter? Is that right, that comes out?
Yeah.
Oh, national.
National.
Right, it's
Yeah.
a national newsletter.
It's called Flagpole.
And so the members receive that. And then there's the monthly meetings and different activities too. There's a big national meeting. Is that done yearly
convention?
also? Yeah.
Oh yes, they have an annual convention every year. This year, It was in New Orleans, and I attended that, and it's just
What happens at the
wonderful.
conventions?
Well, we have all sorts of great speakers, and they party, and they have, you know, and then they have workshop. I'm forgetting the most important thing. It's not like I love parties, but I do. They have very important workshops that we attend all day long, and then at night we have the festivities. And I learned a lot through the workshops this year. And next year on Labor Day, we're having the convention in San Francisco, so that
that's
should
a
be
great
great.
venue.
And Bernice is going to come next year, right?
Right, yeah. That's wonderful. You have a poem that you brought.
Oh, yes.
I would love to hear that because it talks about, I guess it's, well, you can introduce it.
Well, I got this in the flagpole a few months ago, or maybe more than a few months ago, and I just found it I did cry when I read it, so I hope I know. It's just a very moving poem. I think it'll hit home to a lot of people. The name of it is Now That You Know, and it's a poem to a parent. It says, now that you know, are you able to see that I am the same person? It's still the same me. I hated the hiding, so you had to know and risk that you wouldn't decide to let go. Now that you know, I can break down the wall that made me so nervous whenever you'd call. You'd start asking questions of where I was going. I'd make up a story to keep you from knowing. I gave you the runaround and told many lies that made it difficult to look in your eyes. You may not be happy with my kind of life. You pictured me married with kids and a wife. But with your eyes open, I hope that you'll see that what seems so foreign is so natural to me. Now that you know, are you able to see that I am the same person? It's still the same me.
That's wonderful, yeah. So it's really written from the perspective of a gay person
To a parent.
talking to the parents.
Yeah.
Oh, that's wonderful.
Well, I think it says a lot.
Right. Have you gotten involved in other work, Rose? You're involved in a teen group, is that right?
Yes, I do work with there's an open door group that meets at the Loft once a week on Monday night for the teenagers, which I think is a very, very needed thing in Westchester. I think teenagers feel so isolated when they find out they're gay or they suspect that they're gay and they don't know where to turn, and they feel so alone. So if they can find a place to talk, and I'm involved in an awful lot of other things outside of PFLAG.
Right. Does PFLAG meet at the Loft?
Yes.
Right, so that's a great space. We had Zell and Lester on, and they talked about the parents doing role-playing with the teen members in coming out, so that the parents get involved in that as well. Yeah, it's really wonderful. What are the other activities of PFLAG?
Well,
have
we
other-
take part in political
Yeah, how about the
actions.
political actions?
Yeah.
Are you involved in the Empire Pride agenda?
Yes, we are, and we go to Albany to
Lobby.
lobby for
yes,
a gay rights bill, which has been eluding us all these years, the
Right.
state bill. And we write letters to all our congressmen for pertinent questions and participate in parades and marches whenever.
Right, yeah. Okay.
Thank you.
Well, I want to thank you all for coming. It was really wonderful.
My pleasure.
I know that it means so much to gay people to have parents supporting them. It's part of acceptance of diversity in all parts of our culture. I really appreciate it.
Thank you for having us.
Great.
Thank
Thanks
you.
for watching Forward and Out. Please send your comments and questions to us at Forward and Out, care of the Loft, P.O. Box 1513, White Plains, New York 10602, or call the helpline at 914-948-4922. The helpline can give you information about PFLAG chapters in your area. You can also ask a helpline volunteer about becoming a member of the Loft. Please support your Gay and Lesbian Community Services Center. It supports you. Stay tuned for the Loft's Community Bulletin Board directly following the closing credits of the show. Thanks, and until next time, be proud.